The Alvin Gentry era is underway in New Orleans. We go one-on-one with the man who just won a championship and now wants to bring one here. Plus, the Saints receiving corps still has to sort itself out, and a star-studded class for the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame.
This is the last word on sports. Fourth Down on 4 starts now.
By this time next week, we'll know a lot more about what the Pelicans will look like under Alvin Gentry. Free agency starts, and Anthony Davis must make a decision. I'm Doug Mouton. Welcome to Fourth Down on 4. We have extensive Pelican coverage tonight, and we'll start with the introduction of the new coach. The Pels did it Monday. Lions Yellen reports.
Despite the consistent improvement Monty Williams delivered during his tenure, a playoff berth simply wasn't good enough.
We wanted an experienced coach with a history of improving teams, both to excel both offensively and defensively. We wanted a coach that could adapt to the consistently changing NBA game.
In other words, it's championship or bust for the now five-time head coach who's yet to lead a team beyond the Western Conference Finals.
Why can't this be our time? No one's more deserving than this city right here. And I'd like nothing more for us as Pelicans to have a parade right down, Canal Street and enjoy it too. So that's our goal here. I think it's very obtainable.
He's taking over a playoff team with a once-in-a-generation player.
I'm really excited about it. We've got the best player in the NBA, not named LeBron James. So.
But as he witnessed in this year's finals, one man can't do it alone.
LeBron James from way downtown.
One of the things that I think you'll see us do is that we're going to play a lot faster and give him an opportunity to be in the open court.
But the offensive-minded coach, who's best known for his up-tempo style, says his team needs to first improve on the defensive end. It's why he jumped at the opportunity to hire Doc Rivers' protege Darren Erman as his top assistant.
We're going to be a very good defensive team that happen to be good offensively. And I think in order to win, that's what it has to be.
On the court, that was the philosophy in Golden State. But off it, he learned it takes much more to build a champion. For that, it requires organizational harmony and contributions from everyone.
Gentry recounted the story of the 28-year-old video guy in Golden State he credits for the idea to start Andre Iguodala in Game 4 of the NBA Finals. That move changed the dynamics of the series and ultimately swung it in Golden State's favor.
We want to make that obvious here, where if you have an idea, you're empowered to come in and you can talk about it with me or Dale or Mickey or anybody that's involved with this franchise. I think that we have to empower everyone to have their own ideas and to be able to give those ideas if they feel comfortable about it.
But make no mistake about it, Gentry will set the tone on the hardwood, and his leadership style is far different from that of Monty Williams.
I believe that basketball has to be fun. You can get your work done, you can concentrate, you can do everything that's necessary, but I think in order to really enjoy the game, it has to be fun. And we're going to do a lot of things to make it fun. I've already told Dell that we're going to add speakers in here.
Which has to be music to the ears of Pelicans players.
A lot of guys have been calling me and texting me, and they're excited and they can't wait. And so, I'm looking forward to working together with everyone and just putting the best possible team out there that we can.
I'm anxious to get started. I'm anxious to have the guys come back, and I think they are too. I'm ecstatic about being here. I'm ecstatic about getting started, and it's going to be a fun group to watch play. I really believe that. Thank you.
Reporting from Metairie, Lions Yellen, Fourth Down on 4.
All right, thanks, Lions. Working chronologically, the draft was Thursday, and it really turned funny at the Pelicans facility in Metairie. In the 5th hour of the draft, New Orleans finally got its pick, the 56th overall. The Pelicans took Michigan State forward Brandon Dawson. But just minutes later, they sold his rights to the Clippers. So in the draft, the Pelicans got no one. So how will Alvin Gentry and Dell Demps rebuild the roster? The core is back. Of course, so is the superstar. But as the start of free agency looms this week, there are a bunch of questions. We sat down with Coach Gentry for a few answers. Here's what we know. Alvin Gentry will play up-tempo, and Anthony Davis, maybe more so than any big man in basketball, is built to go up-tempo.
I think we have other guys on this team that can play that way also. Eric Gordon, I've always been a big fan of his. I see him as a player that can get out and, is an excellent shooter. Drew Holiday, the same thing.
Holiday, Gordon, and Davis are part of the Pelicans' core. 6 guys under contract already who all figure to play significant minutes. Eric Gordon will make the most money, $15.5 million. Drew Holiday, $11 million. Tyreke Evans, slightly less. Ryan Anderson at $8.5, and Anthony Davis, the best bargain in basketball for now, at $7 million. Plus, Quincy Pondexter is locked up, and the team has options on Norris Cole and Jeff Withey. For those qualifying offers, they can keep them too. Those 8 certainly could be traded, but Alvin Gentry spoke in glowing terms about his core.
I'm excited about this group. I think we have guys that can play multiple positions. I think Tyreke is a guy that, has the ability to play maybe 3 positions for us, but also have the ability to take the basketball and get in the open floor and create things.
The Pelicans will need to make decisions about their own free agents. Do they want to try to bring back Omer Asik? Do they want to keep developing 7-foot Frenchman Alexis Ajinça? Is there a role on Gentry's team for the versatile Dante Cunningham, who was terrific last season, or sharpshooter Luke Babbitt? That foursome are all free agents.
I think that's more along the lines of something that you'll talk to Dell about. We've met, we've discussed certain guys. I mean, obviously, I can't do it publicly because that's against the NBA rules, but we've talked about guys that we want to continue to have on this team and the roles that we see them in.
Free agency starts Wednesday, and Alvin Gentry has a roster that he says is close.
I don't think it's that far away. I mean, when I look at it and I see, well, first of all, you got Anthony Davis as the anchor, and, obviously he's one of the best players in the NBA, so you have a good start there. And then you have other guys that's very capable of playing the style that we're going to try to put in as a system here. But we'll also adjust some of the things that we're doing to the personnel that we have. So we're not going to try to nail, square pegs and round holes. So we'll have to make adjustments on the coach's side too. But I just think that we have the capability of having a fantastic season and a special season, and that's going to be our goal when we line up and start training camp.
Alvin Gentry's long-term success in New Orleans may be determined more than anything else by how Anthony Davis takes to him. Gentry says he'll run the offense through his superstar, something Monty Williams was often criticized for not doing enough. Gentry said signing Davis to a long-term contract is, without question, the #1 goal of the organization. And he said the brand of basketball his Pelicans will play suits number 23. If that's true, and if Anthony Davis buys into what Alvin Gentry is doing, championship aspirations are not unrealistic. Again, free agency starts Wednesday, and the Pelicans' first move will be to offer Anthony Davis that long-term deal. The Advocate reports it'll be 5 years, $145 million. Now, whether or not Davis will agree to that deal, of course, remains to be seen. A ton of big-time players are free agents, like Memphis center Marc Gasol. But for now, at least, the Pelicans are not being mentioned as players for any of them. But remember 2 years ago, none of the national pundits predicted the Pelicans would woo and then sign Sacramento's Tyreke Evans. But they did, as soon as free agency began. It would take some creative accounting and probably mean Dell Demps and company would have to part with one of those core guys. But a free agent coup this year is possible. Or the Pelicans may decide to play the cards they have. For now, the only name being mentioned in reference to the Pelicans beyond the guys on the roster now is ex-Pelican Al-Farouq Aminu, who, according to TNT, has a New Orleans visit scheduled. Coming up, there are many questions surrounding the Saints receiving corps. Who will step up to fill the shoes of Jimmy Graham and Kenny Stills? We discuss. And later, Kevin Falk leads this year's class into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. In all the changes and the turbulence of the offseason, all the surprising personnel moves, the Saints did not bring in any big-time help at wide receiver. In the next few weeks leading up to training camp, we'll break down a few position groups, beginning tonight with the wideouts. For now, Marques Colston leads a group of 11 wideouts as the Saints get ready for West Virginia. The first two options are easy. Colston, now in year 10, and rookie Brandon Cooks. Last summer, Cooks was the training camp star. He looked all-world, but when the pads went on, he was okay. He dominated in exactly one game against Green Bay. Otherwise, he hit the turf too quickly, too often. The Saints need Cooks to turn his practice field magic into actual game magic much more often. And Colston's no sure thing anymore. 2014 was his least productive full season since he was drafted. And in the NFL, 2 wide receivers aren't nearly enough. You probably need 4 reliable guys. These are the most likely candidates after the top 2. Nick Toon, who in 3 years has a total of 21 catches. Joe Morgan has 14 career catches. And Brandon Coleman and Seantavius Jones have 0 each. Toon has shown potential. He doesn't really have the speed to be a downhill threat, but he is 6'4". As the Saints look to replace Jimmy Graham's production, maybe his size will matter. Brandon Coleman is similar at 6'6". He's a large target, so he's got a shot to fill that role too. Sean Payton has given Joe Morgan more chances than any other player of the Payton era, maybe because Morgan has elite speed, something any NFL offense can use. And Seantavius Jones may be the best combination of size and speed. He can run at 6'3", but he's completely unproven at the NFL level. Maybe a wild card with a chance to stick is former Bear, Redskin, and 49er Josh Morgan, who has been productive at the NFL level. Morgan is one of 4 long shots on the Saints roster, along with undrafted rookies Kyle Prater and R.J. Harris and Lance Lewis. By not drafting a wide receiver or signing one in free agency, Sean Payton is clearly saying he believes the answer to the Saints wide receiver question is on the roster now. But who that is beyond Colston and Cooks, at this point, we don't know. All right, joined now by our own Lions yelling. All right, when you talk about wide receivers, are you surprised that the Saints didn't bring in either a semi-big-time free agent or draft a wide receiver? A lot of people thought they would.
Actually, I wasn't surprised, not at all, because I think they're so high on Brandon Coleman and Seantavius Jones. I think they like their receiving core, and if they couldn't jump up way high in the draft and get a guy like Amari Cooper, a guy that could come in and be an all-pro potentially for years to come, they were fine to just stand pat and go with the guys that they have.
Okay, well, let's start with the guys that they have. Brandon Cooks, last year in training camp, looked like all world. He has proven to be a great practice player. Only came up big in one game last year, the Green Bay game. Can it translate from practice to in-game?
You certainly have to hope so. I mean, look, he really needs to contribute. They spent a first-round pick on him. He has got to be a guy that does more than just be a decent slot receiver. He needs to get those extra yards after the catch. He can't go down so easy. He needs to make big plays for this team and stretch the field. So we saw flashes of that during this offseason program, but again, you cannot look at that and say, okay, everything from last year is cured. This guy is going to be a superstar. We got to see once he puts the pads on.
You got to see it in games. All right, you got 4 guys, and the Saints are going to need a 3. You got Colston and Cooks, 1 and 2. You need a 3 and a 4. You got 4 guys. You got Nick Toon, Joe Morgan on his 28th chance with the Saints, Seantavius Jones and Brandon Coleman. Who is the guy, your guess now, that's going to step up and be that number 3 guy?
I like to think it's going to be Brandon Coleman. You look at this guy, he is so physically imposing. If that guy can contribute, if he can be somebody that can not only go across the field, but go up high and get the ball, that is a tremendous asset for the Saints, and I think will take a lot of pressure off of Marcus Colston and kind of extend his life a little bit more. But honestly, I think that Brandon Coleman and Shontavious Jones, both of those guys have an opportunity to contribute. It's more Nick Toon that might be fighting to make this team.
I would agree with that. And to me, though, if you look at the four, Joe Morgan, a pure burner, hasn't put the rest of the game together. Toon and Coleman, probably not the fastest guys. Shontavious Jones, to me, seems like the one guy, 6'3", he's big enough, and he can run. Maybe the best combination came from Valdosta State, still got a long way to go, but maybe the best combination of size, speed, agreed?
Yeah, he really is an impressive-looking player and kind of has all those tools that you want in today's NFL. He runs very nice, crisp routes, and you've heard Drew Brees talk about it a lot. He has to be able to trust these receivers and know when he's throwing these timing routes that they're going to be where they're supposed to, and that's been some of the issues with young receivers in the past. If he can do that, if he can be that guy that runs the routes that Brees is expecting, he can be a big contributor on this team.
He certainly could be. It'll be one of the most interesting positions to watch this summer. Lions yelling, terrific job as always. We are back with more 4th Down on 4 in a minute. Still ahead, Avery Johnson, Jake Delhomme, Kevin Faulk, and others were honored this week, earning induction into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame welcomed its newest class last night. The Hall inducted 8 new members, 3 players, 3 coaches, and a guy who's done both at a high level, and a trainer of horses. It was a weekend of fun in central Louisiana as the state recognized 8 sporting greats.
It's a very great honor to be a part of this 2015 Hall of Fame class, to see the guys and the women that you're going in with. It's an amazing feeling, and it's home.
Kevin Faulk is probably the most athletically gifted guy in the 2015 class. A superstar at Karen Crow High School who became the leading rusher in LSU history. He then played 13 seasons in the NFL with the New England Patriots. But his incoming class includes overachievers, like quarterback Jake Delhomme. Delhomme went from Turlings Catholic to UL Lafayette, then surprised everyone by throwing for more than 20,000 yards in the NFL and leading the Carolina Panthers to the Super Bowl. 5 touchdowns!
I was lucky enough to get a chance to go to the NFL, and I wanted to play 1 year. And then the next year, I just said I want to play 1 more. And I lived a charmed life, lived in many places, met many friends, and it all comes back to the same thing. The most successful people sometimes is not the most talented. Most of the time it's not. It's the ones who are going to work hard, do the right thing, and just have that attention to detail and dedication.
Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson was even more of a long shot than Jake Delhomme. Johnson was not a star at St. Aug. He was good enough to get a scholarship to Southern. Then after getting cut multiple times, he played 16 years in the NBA. The San Antonio Spurs retired his number. The Little General was also the NBA Coach of the Year in 2006.
Who would have ever known, somebody that was basically deep on the bench on his high school team back in 1983 would ever be in the Hall of Fame. But that's what dreams are made of. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm going in with this 2015 Hall of Fame group. I'm honored to have my family and friends here to celebrate.
Another Purple Knight legend, football coach Otis Washington, summed up the weekend.
I didn't realize that the induction was as refined as it is. They do a good job of putting things together, and everything is working like clockwork.